Yo, what is up, guys? So, there's a lot of handhelds on the market right now. We have, PC handhelds, we have Nintendo handhelds, a lot of different options here. But as of today, June 13th, a handheld has released that I think is now the one to beat. So, let's just make room here. We're going to just put this to the side. We're going to make some room here for what I believe to be the handheld to beat. We have today, as of today, the ROG Ally. So we're going to be unboxing and doing a quick overview of the ROG Ally. I just want to say that my package came like this. So I'm not sure if somebody went into it or the glue just wasn't working right. But my package was already open. This box was already open. But anyway, at least the ROG Ally was still in there. So let's get into the box. Sorry guys. My bad. My bad, Nintendo Switch. We still love you. Anyway, so today we got the ROG Ally in the house. Let's unbox it. Let's get into it. And let's not waste any time. Safety first. Don't play with knives, kids. Anyway, let's get into it. So I'm very excited for this device because it's been hyped up a lot. It started as like almost an April Fool's joke. Nobody believed it was real. And then Asus came out and said, yep, it's actually real. And then we were like, okay, so tell me about it. Then they came out and they said, okay, we could pre-order it. And I pre-ordered it on day one because I was just interested to see what it's actually capable of. And now after like, I guess 2 months of waiting since they reviewed it on April 1st, we now have the ROG Ally in the house. So here we have the box here. Pretty good looking box, I must say so myself. Pretty simple, but it does have the image of the ROG Ally. And it has some colors here, but everything else is sort of black and white with this nice iridescent accents here. So that is pretty nice to see. This box is nice. One thing to note, always keep your boxes because that increases your resale value by like 20% if you have the box. So let's get into the ROG Ally box, the moment of truth. I know some people have already received it early, but today's the official release date, so I thought we'd get into it on the official day. I just got mines. I didn't get an early review unit. And in this box we have, I know we have the sort of stand that they gave you. It's like a paper stand. I don't want to break this. I already broke it, guys. Okay, here we go. So we have this ROG paper stand. It's like cardboard. Feels like they made it out of like maybe recycled paper or something, but we just put it to the side. That will come in handy. Use it as a stand, as a display. So we are greeted by a sort of paper layer here explaining that you should plug it in, press the power button, and you are good to go. So now let's set this to the side. Let's set this to the side first before we get into the package. Let's just move the switch for a second. Sorry, Nintendo. And now let's get into the box and see what else we have in here. There is a QR code here. I'm gonna scan that later for you guys. But it shouldn't be much in here because there's not much really to this. You get the device, you get your paperwork. I guess this is like sort of like the warranty and quick start guide. We have, quick start guide, manual, and then is this maybe a warranty, battery safety, product, warranty card. Pluck that, file it to the side as Floss always says. And let's see what else we have inside of this box. So we have our warranty card and we have our charger. Here we have our ROG Ally charger. I will say that I'm not a big fan of the cord being attached. I like when the cord is like separate, so then you can always replace the cord maybe with a longer one, or maybe if the cord breaks you can replace it with maybe like a braided cable if you don't like the rubber cable. I like to see a cable that can be removed, but it's not the biggest deal in the world. It's not a deal breaker. We do have I believe it's a 65 watt charger. Let me see here. This is a 65 watt charger. I don't know, you won't be able to see that but it is a 65-watt charger. That's good to see. Anyway, now let's set this to the side and let's get into the device itself, the ROG Ally. Maybe we bring the Steam Deck back just so it doesn't feel left out. Are you gonna be dethroned, Steam Deck, as the king of handhelds? Let's find out. So anyway, we have the ROG Ally here. Set that to the side, and here it is, you guys. Here it is in all its ROG Ally glory. I'm not the biggest fan of a white handheld, but I must say this does look clean. It does look very sort of put together in a way you can't really complain. Now here we have the back buttons. The styling, I must say, is very unique. The styling is sort of very typical for ROG and gaming devices. We have this iridescent line here with the ROG logo as the ventilation here, and it does look pretty good. We have our two vents here. We have our XG mobile port with our USB-C port, volume down, volume up, power button with an integrated fingerprint sensor, SD card, that's good to see, headphone jack, and let's just get our first impressions on the fit and finish in hand. I must say that the grip is not very large. The grip is not large when you compare that grip to something like the One X Player 2 with this giant massive grip here. The grip is not as large as something like that. As you can see here, the grip is very minimal compared to the One X Player 2 or even the Steam Deck. I have a case on mine, so it does add grip, but look at the grip difference between the Steam Deck and the ROG Ally. It's pretty much half of what you get on the Steam Deck, but we're gonna see how it feels in hand. It feels, let's give it a little twist test. It feels solid, but it feels light. It feels like, but it feels solid. It doesn't feel cheap. The plastic feels all right. It has like a nice sort of matte finish texture to it. It does feel premium. It feels good. It feels light, but it does not feel cheap. And that's one good thing to know. Let's get our triggers in here. I wish I had a little bit more travel on these triggers. It's not the biggest deal in the world. Buttons, they do actuate across the entire button. That's good to see. Some buttons have a harder time to actuate as you get to the corner, but this button is good actuation across the entire button. That's good to see. Triggers, I wish I had a little bit more travel, but that's all right. Joysticks, they are not Hall effect joysticks, which I am kind of upset, but we have to see how it works in the long term, because we know that Hall effect joysticks don't have any dead zone and they shouldn't experience drift as much because they're using magnets and not just a mechanical moving piece in there to determine the location of the stick. That's not the biggest deal in the world. Every Xbox controller ever, PlayStation controller, always had normal analog sticks, so we can't really complain. I would just like to see Hall effect moving forward, but it does feel good in the hand. These back buttons feel pretty good. You kind of can get to that rather easily. They don't feel as good as the back buttons on the Steam Deck when you're holding it, but I will say that so the triggers feel good. My favorite triggers are actually on the original One X Player. I do like the triggers on the AOK Zoe, and the triggers on the Neo 2S have a lot of travel and a nice big surface to grip. Here, as you can see, the surface of the trigger is much larger, maybe 1.5 times the size of the trigger here compared to the ROG Ally. But it does feel good in the hand. Let's see that D-pad. Okay, the D-pad is not bad. The D-pad is not bad across all of the cardinal directions as well as the diagonals. It does feel good, like you can get some combos in. That does feel good. So if you're playing fighting games, Street Fighter 6 just dropped. I think you would have a good time playing with this. Let's see. Let me do a combo here. Okay, yeah, you can do a combo. You can do a nice little combo with this sticks here, with the D-pad I mean. So yeah, it feels good. Other buttons, let's see, let's test these face buttons here, the A, B, X, Y. There were early reports that the face buttons will get stuck, but I think that was just with the early review units. But this does feel good. One thing I will say, that the roll off, that's one thing people don't talk about a lot, is that transitioning from one button to the next, it feels good because the controls, the buttons are rounded very nicely. So that transition from going from like A to B and back, X to A, X to Y, it feels good because you can roll off. One thing I didn't like about the Neo 2S buttons is that it's pretty much like a straight up and down. Like it's just like, it doesn't really have a, I guess what you call like a rounded edge. So it's hard for you to sort of go from one angle to the next. It's hard for you to sort of get in that. So you can sort of, your finger gets stuck as you go from one button to the next. You have to almost like pick it up a little bit and then bring it down, because if you try to go back and forth, it does sort of get caught. Your finger gets caught on the button there. That's not something you experience on any other device like the Steam Deck. You can sort of roll nicely because the buttons are rounded, and it's just a problem with the A Neo 2S because the buttons, they go straight down, they don't really curve. So that's something that I would like to see on all of my devices, is having a round button. So these buttons are pretty good. I'm pressing it down hard, it's not getting stuck. So yeah, it feels good. I'm impressed by the build quality and how all the buttons feel. I think you can have a good time with this device. I'm gonna come back, we're gonna dive into like the performance of this, the Z1 Extreme. It should rival something like the Neo 2S with the 7840U. This has 32 gigabytes of RAM as compared to the 16 gigabytes of RAM. But yeah, the performance should be very close. So we're gonna put this to the test. We're gonna test it. We already know it beats the Steam Deck, but we're still gonna test it versus the Steam Deck at, you know, lower TDPs, because the Steam Deck has always been great at those low TDPs from like 9 to 12 TDP, 12 watts. It's been great. We have the 6800U devices here, and we're gonna put it to the test to see if you have one of these 6800U devices, see if it's worth upgrading to the Z1 Extreme, or to see if you should get one of these 7840U devices. You know, there's a lot of things we have to consider. One, I will say that the ergonomics on something like the AOK Zoe has been my favorite, because it just has a nice big grip here. It has a nice big grip. The One X Player 2 also has a nice big beefy grip. This device is very huge and very cumbersome for long sessions, but it does feel good in the hand. It has a nice big grip. The Steam Deck ergonomics are A1. I will say, you know, don't shoot me in the comments, but the Steam Deck without a case is not my favorite ergonomics. I need a little bit added thickness, so that's why I always rock a case on my Steam Deck, and it has some texture there for better grip. The Neo 2S has a slight grip here. It's not my favorite ergonomically, but it does, you know, feel okay in the hand. It is pretty light and it does feel good. And now we have the ROG Ally. I will have to be honest, the ergonomics, it doesn't have much of a grip. It has a little grip here. It has a little grip, as you can see, but it's not much. This would have to be, I would give this like a B for ergonomics, because it's not horrible, because it is sort of angled here. It does sort of slope down so your palm can sit there. But as far as the actual grip on the back, I gotta give it a B, because it doesn't, you know, give my hand much to hold on to. But it does feel good. It does feel all right. So I'm gonna get into a lot more videos with this device, because this is the one to beat right now. This is the king of handhelds. You know, that's what a lot of people are saying. We're gonna get into it. We're gonna see if it can really dethrone something like the Steam Deck, or if it can be a better option than something like the 7840U devices that are coming out now, like the ANEO 2S. And we also have the AOK Zoe A1 Pro coming in this month. We're gonna test it out. So this video is not going into performance or anything like that, but let's at least turn it on. Let's see if we got any power. Let's turn it on and see what we can get into. Do we even have power, or do we need to charge it? It did say plug it in, so I didn't plug it in. So maybe I really need to plug it in because it's been sitting in the warehouse for maybe like a month. So I'm gonna plug it in and then turn it on, and then we'll head out of here. All right, so I plugged it in one time for the one time, and it came to life. It's probably in like storage mode. Usually when a device is like this, it comes in storage mode, so you gotta plug it in initially. And here it is, you guys. It's coming to life. The ROG Ally is here, you guys. Yo, I'm excited. I'm excited. Got a lot of devices here, but the ROG Ally has been like the hype device ever since it released. We didn't even believe it was real. We didn't believe it. It was like an April Fool's joke, and the greatest April Fool's joke of the decade is actually a real thing. So we're gonna get into this. Sorry, Nintendo Switch, let me just bring you back up here just for time's sake. We're gonna get into this ROG Ally. We're gonna have some fun with it. We're gonna put it through all its tests. We're gonna review it. We're gonna do performance. We're gonna look at the screen. We're gonna look at 120 hertz, because all these devices 60 hertz. This is the one right here with 120 hertz variable refresh rate. It's got all the features that gamers love. The high refresh rates, 1080p, 120 hertz. We're gonna get into it. It's alive and it's ready to go. So here is the ROG Ally. Look at it, you guys. Look at it. It's finally here. It's finally here. We're gonna get into it. But anyway, leave your comments down below. Let me know what you want to see. We got all these devices here. Put it in the comments what you want to see. Anyway.
To set up your device using a screen reader, turn on narrator by pressing Windows.
Okay. Just interrupt the outro. Anyway, leave a comment down below. Like, subscribe, all that good YouTube stuff. And I will see you guys very soon in the next one. Peace.